We'll take a look now at the national papers, and we're joined by the Plain English editor, Andrew Pegler. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, thank you. What's top of your list today?
Well, the Australian economy continues its own shock and awe campaign. The employment figures have actually gone down despite the expectations that they would go up. More than 30,000 full-time jobs, this time full-time jobs, have been created, raising the hopes that the unemployment rate could peak below 6%, which is just continues to amaze everybody, I think. The actual rate itself dipped to 5.7%, which went down from which is what it was in March, which is down from the 5.8% figure in October. And as I said, they were all full-time jobs, which is a significant development. And of course, with employment traditionally being a lagging indicator, one would think that this GFC mess is, at least here, is starting to sort of come to an end.
Does it surprise you that Australia seems to have pulled through this so well?
Look, it does, but I guess there are all these different reasons for that, one of which was the swift response, the link to China and India, all those sort of variables. I just think we are, the dumb luck country in a way. We're just in the right place at the right time. We're in Asia, it's going bananas. I just think we're lucky.
Now, Tony Abbott, when he announced his new front bench and appointed Barnaby Joyce as finance spokesman, probably had a fair idea of what was coming up, and he was making phrases like Barnaby's his own man. He wants Barnaby to be out there barnstorming the country. He's a true original. He's authentic. That's true, and it hasn't taken long, has it?
No. I was expecting the word Armageddon to come up a bit earlier, but Barnaby has come up with Armageddon. He's apparently he has a fear that America may default on its debt, triggering an economic Armageddon, as he said, and which would make the recent financial crisis pale into insignificance. He's also proposed, this is in an interview with The Age, he's also proposed that the federal government should introduce laws allowing it to break up the assets of the four banks. And Wayne Swan's response has been swift, and I imagine this will be a familiar rhetoric. Joyce has been elevated straight from the reactionary fringe of our economic debate to the the second most senior economic policy-making job in the alternative government. So I imagine this sort of language will go on, and as they continue to try and discredit him. I did like the idea that towards the end of this, Barnaby said, look, he's gone into the specifics of the Armageddon, and we need to think about our capacity to feed ourselves during the Armageddon, and the fundamentals like medicine and the requirements for our nation. May I suggest, lots of baked beans and bottled water, and perhaps everyone buys a gun as well.
Is he actually talking about stocking up on canned foods? He's taken it that far?
Not yet, but I imagine that's the next step.
It's not just Wayne Swan. The Age has dusted off, as part of that story, a transcript from a recent Economics Committee hearing where Barnaby Joyce went after Ken Henry, or questioned Ken Henry, and Ken Henry, using the same words, Armageddon and the like, and Ken Henry gave him a very veiled rebuke, saying the public figures shouldn't be talking in those terms, in terms that may unease the public. Well,
we have these Australian political figures, though, from time to time. They're almost sort of in this kind of, if not truth-telling position, then they're the maverick who's supposed to sort of say the unsayable, and they always pop up in public life, and various people have held that role for a while. It's Barnaby Joyce's turn.
It could be, and this could be part of Tony Abbott's Machiavellian strategy. He may be political genius and not roadkill after all. If these sort of arguments resonate with people disaffected by the economy and who may have lost their jobs or have trouble getting long-term employment.
Well, as you imply, there is a stark contrast between the managed approach of Rudd and the more from-the-hip approach of the Abbott administration. Now,
the annual fight that is Japanese whalers v Australian protesters is about to get underway.
Yeah, that's heading off. The Japanese government has come out and said, however, it will not review its whaling policy. That's according to Foreign Minister Katsuya Okada, and apologies if that wasn't a tremendous attempt at pronunciation, but it was close. So-called scientific whaling will resume in weeks in the Southern Ocean, and he said, we don't see the need for a policy review. And he's urged us to sort of approach this in a non-emotional, calm way as opposed to, lots of screaming.
Well, that's not going to happen.
No,
absolutely not.
No, it's an annual ritual, isn't it?
Well,
there has to be
maybe
screaming amongst whaling.
Of course, but maybe the UN should sort of come up and sort of give the permission to a pod of minke whales to kill 935 Japanese whalers, just to give them an idea of what it's like.
I guess, but at the same time, Japan's going to continue to make this argument that it's culturally relevant and important to them to not only hunt whale but to eat whale meat from time to time. We'd say the same thing about beef, and you know what Japan says about our kangaroo cull, don't you?
Indeed, and it's just an issue that's just going to go around and round in ever decreasing circles.
Do you ever see it being resolved?
I don't necessarily think it will be, because as you say, there is this cultural inalienable right that they claim, and you have to have sympathy for that. But at the same time, there is this connection with whales that we have.
And speaking of beasts of the sea, the Herald Sun has a pretty interesting story about a shark catch.
Yeah, can we get this picture up? It's a bottler. Now look at this guy. He's gone out for a bit of a catamaran ride. A fisherman got the fright of his life when what he thought was a snapper turned out to be a 2.5 metre shark. Now he's got a kayak there with fishing gear on it, and he said the challenge was when you're pulling in a fish, you've got to concentrate the whole time because you're counterbalancing when the fish is pushing. Now you wouldn't want to be pulled into the water, would you? Because the fish is not going to be happy to see you, and he's going to have a crack at you, that's for sure. And my congratulations goes out there to the big guy for pulling that one in.
And I hope he turned it into battered flake once he was finished.
Apparently he did. He
Good
said.
Nice to see you, Andrew.
Nice
Thanks so
to
much.
see you.
Now, a reminder too, you can watch all of ABC News Breakfast streamed live every morning.
The address